Welcome to another edition of the USF Football Radio Show. The Bulls are back after a bye week. They've got 2 in a row on the road. Houston first, and then up to Philadelphia to play Temple before they return home to Raymond James Stadium. Head coach Jeff Scott joins us. Coach, we've said it before, a bye week is not a vacation week. You guys have been working hard, and I know you've had a lot of practices getting ready for Houston, guys healing up, and you've taken the time to kind of analyze the first half of this season and look to see if there are things you want to adjust for these final 5 games. Take us through this week, if you would, and tell us a little bit about the process and what you and your staff have done.
Yeah, I really felt like the bye week came at a good time for us. I think overall, we had several goals going into it. The first goal was to be able to kind of evaluate, like you said, everything that we had done in the first 7 games, the good and the bad, and be able to maybe find some things that we need to fine-tune and correct. And then also, as a coaching staff, make sure that we're asking our guys to do the things that they can do to be successful. And so just looking offensively, defensively, looking at some of our tendencies and some of those things, and how maybe we can better position our guys in the last 5 games. And then the next thing is, we needed to get some guys healthy. We had obviously a long list of injured guys and some guys with hamstrings and different things. And so having extra time during the bye week to get extra treatment, and then also maybe limit some of the reps last week during the true bye week, and now getting many of those guys back this week has been helpful. And then the third thing is really for everybody to really focus on improvement, coaches and players, but from a player standpoint, their overall technique and some of the fundamentals, kind of going back to spending a little bit more time in practice, an individual period with their coaches, working on those techniques and fundamentals. And I believe team improvement comes from individual improvement, and so really we've challenged our guys to really work on that this week. And then finally we wanted it to have the 2 weeks to get ready for a good Houston team. And so we've had 7 practices by the time that we get ready to kick this thing off on Saturday.
Jeff, in your last time out against Tulane, your quarterback, Gary Bohannon, suffered an injury, and we know now that it's a season-ending injury. So could you reflect on what happened to Gary, what he's contributed, and also we have Catravis Marsh as your starter, how you move forward with Catravis?
Yeah, I was hoping that we were kind of done with the injury bug there the first half of the season, but obviously, number one, I really feel bad for Gary because, he's really battled this year and really was playing his best ball. His last 6 quarters, he was playing at a very high level, and I felt like he really settled in, was really comfortable with the offensive what we were doing. He's able to get some rhythm with some of the first group of wide receivers, and really was seeing us starting to take off. And so I hate that for him. And also offensively, it's anytime you lose your quarterback for the year, it's not a good thing. That's definitely another thing that our guys are dealing with. But on the other side of it, it's an opportunity for the next person, right, to come up. And Trey Marsh is a guy that's been around here going into his 3rd year, and I really think that he's improved. I think his overall understanding of our offense, overall understanding of what the defenses are doing and all that has greatly improved from where he was when he got here 2 years ago. And he's a different style quarterback. He's really big, 6'4", 235 pounds, has a very strong arm. So I think you never like to lose your starter during the year, but if you're going to, it is nice to have it going into a bye week. So now you've got 2 weeks for him to really get ready to go be the starter, and then also as coaches, it gives us 2 weeks to maybe tinker with a few things offensively that maybe fit his skill set.
It was an eventful off-season for Catravis in that he went into the transfer portal, came back, and returned to the team. That's not unheard of, but it doesn't happen that often. When you got the information that he was interested in coming back, what was that process like? What went through your mind about what you had to know to realize it would be a good fit for him to return?
Well, I think, one of our kind of key principles to our culture for our program is communication. And I think, Trey and his family had done a really good job communicating with us leading up to him getting into the portal. And, he at that time, he was, behind a freshman that was going to be a sophomore. And so in the new age of college football with the portal and the ability to have a one-time transfer, that's kind of the norm. And so I understood, even though I didn't want him to leave or get in the portal, I did understand where he and his family were coming from. And, I just told him that, I felt like he had a really strong future, and I didn't want to see him leave to go to a program maybe that was below what he could do and what the future that I believe that he really had. And so, I think they went in and over a couple weeks maybe didn't have, the opportunities that maybe they were looking for. And so I immediately called him and let him know that the door was still open. And because at that time, we only had one quarterback that was on our roster from a year ago coming back. And so I knew that we were going to, could use his experience, and also knowing that, hey, injuries do happen, right? You could be in this situation. So very thankful that he chose to come back. I think he's thankful to have come back and now have an opportunity to go out and lead our team and lead our offense here the second half of the season.
So when you look at Trey Marsh and Gary Bohannon, you could probably say there's some things that Gary does that maybe Trey doesn't, but vice versa. Trey can do some things maybe Gary doesn't. So how do you think it's going to affect the overall offense, the change of the quarterback? Will there be some things that you're just going to stay away from, and some new things that could open up?
Yeah, I think so. Be a little careful of giving Houston the game plan right now, but I would say, each quarterback is a little bit different, and I think a good thing, maybe a good quality as a coach, is to be able to maybe ask your players to do what they do well and maybe limit some things that maybe they struggle with. I would say, Trey has a very strong arm. He does a really good job. And, when you start talking about RPOs, there's a lot of different things that you can read, right? Old school, zone read, you would read the end. If the end squeeze and the quarterback pulls it and he runs it. Well, then it started developing where you're not only reading the end, but now you're reading the linebacker. And if he's in the box, then you throw it. If he's out of the box, you hand it off. So there's a lot of ways to accomplish the different reads and the different things that are within our offense. Some with maybe a quarterback that's going to run a lot, some maybe with a quarterback that's going to sit back there and kind of dish it out to our playmakers. So, Trey's going to be asked to do both, but, I think it is definitely important that, we see and we know what he does best, what he feels comfortable with early on going into maybe his first start of the season, and ask him to do those things.
And now Byron Brown moves up to the 2 spot. This is a very young man. Started college at age 17. Has been with the Bulls throughout this season. Has a lot of talent, a lot of maturity. Are you comfortable, if need be, with him entering a game now?
Yeah, well, number one, I love Byron Brown. He's got a great energy to him. Like you said, he's he is a young man. He just turned 18, I believe, last month maybe. But he's got a maturity to him too. He's got kind of that combination of a youthful presence, but very smart, very mature. He gets it. He understands how serious you have to be in your preparation. He's over a 4.0 in the schoolwork. He picks up things in the meeting room very quickly. And, I think he has a really strong future here for us at South Florida. And, I think somewhere along the way, there'll be some opportunity for him to go out and play. And with the redshirt rule being such that you could play in up to 4 games and still redshirt, not lose your year, that's kind of free ball, right, and free opportunity. So, we want to let Trey get off to a really good start and get comfortable in it. But I do think at some point, the second half of the season, there'll be opportunity for Trey to go out, for Byron to be able to go out there and get some experience, which I think would be very beneficial for him and for us for down the road.
defensively after the off week, after evaluating? I know injuries played a major factor with your personnel, but what have you looked at on your defense that can make it a little better in the last 5 games that you evaluated for, and whether it's a change of personnel, change of approach, what's going to change there defensively in the last 5?
Yeah, I think during the open week, like we said, you kind of look at the good and the bad, and I think the good has been our pass rush. I think we've gotten more sacks and even more tackles for loss up front. Jason Vaughn being a guy we talked about earlier this week that's really done a good job the last 2 games. So I feel like that has definitely improved. And when you go back and watch each of the games and really the whole 7 games, all the different plays, there's a lot of really good pictures on there where we're stopping the guys at the line of scrimmage. And the things in the last couple of games that really have hurt us have been stop them, and then give them a 75-yard run, right? So the big plays, I think the explosive plays through the air against East Carolina was really kind of the difference in that game. And then last week against Tulane, we had done a pretty decent job of getting off the field, and then there's a couple plays there we gave up the 75-yard touchdown defensively, and that in the game on defense it's so different than offense, right? Offense, you could have a receiver run the wrong route and the quarterback throws it to the other receiver and scores a touchdown and nobody knows about it. Defensively, if the safety's not where he's supposed to be, then it's a touchdown, right? And that's really the difference there. And so for us, I think personnel-wise, our personnel is dictated based on our injuries and the guys that are available and all those things. So for us, I don't think we have a lot more options from a personnel standpoint. I think it's about getting our guys to play more consistent. Again, they're showing a lot of pictures out there where they are able to play, good defense, but it's those 8 to 10 plays that really, where the teams are getting the majority of their points or, gaining a lot of yards. And so how can we eliminate those plays? Maybe it's our call of what we're asking them to do, maybe putting them in a better position. And then at the end of the day, it's them using good fundamentals, good technique. It comes down to simple things like tackling, right? Being able to wrap up, and you go back and see some of the big plays, which it's not unique to our defense. You watch, college and NFL. If you give up, if you have some missed tackles, then you're going to have to pay for those with long runs or touchdowns. So I think it's everybody maybe improving in their fundamental, the technique, and then some of those guys honestly have been playing where they haven't been 100% health-wise, and so hopefully having 2 weeks to get ready before Houston will help them improve there as well.
This will be an early one, 11 a.m. local time, 12 noon in Tampa for the Bulls and Houston on Saturday. Stay with us. Jimmy Horn coming up later in the hour. More with Coach when we return on the USF Football Radio Network. Welcome back. The Bulls on the road this week to play the Houston Cougars. It'll be a 12 noon start in Tampa, 11 a.m. local time, so it's an early one. And, Coach, this Houston team is really interesting. Preseason top 25. They had a string of overtime games. They were down to the wire week after week. 4-3 overall. Probably expected that they would be a little bit better than that, but they've got a lot of talent and a lot of playmakers.
Yeah, they do, and I think for me it starts with their quarterback. He's played a lot of ball for them. He's a winner. He's won a lot of games for them. He understands their system of what they're doing, and I think that's really important with kind of what they do on offense, to have an experienced quarterback that's been there and can make several of the calls and checks at the line of scrimmage. And like you said, he's got a lot of speed, a lot of playmakers around him, and they do a good job of spreading the ball around to those guys. And then defensively, it's hard to get past their defensive line. They've got 8 or 10 guys that are very, very disruptive, very athletic, big, strong guys, long, that, really do a great job in their pass rush, and then also versus stopping the run. And then really good skill guys on the back end. So, very similar to, Cincinnati, I would say, from a defensive standpoint, where they're very aggressive, very talented. And, they've played some good teams who they've already played, and they've had a lot of close games, and they've found a way to win several of those right there at the end. And it'll be another really good test for us.
It almost seems like Houston, after taking a few losses, they've kind of been written off, but I don't know that that's quite the case. I mean, you know Cincinnati, you've seen East Carolina and Tulane, two surprise teams. I mean, where do you think Houston fits in, and how the top of the conference? Is it just sort of a jumble, a debate over who's best here?
Yeah, I think it really speaks to the strength of our conference this year. There may not be that one team that's just head and shoulders above everybody, but I feel like from last year there's a lot of teams that have really kind of moved up, and there's a lot of teams in that second through fifth place that are really very, very similar. I think one part of it, right, you look at the teams we've already played this year, seems like everybody has a veteran quarterback coming back that's a junior or senior that started for 2, 3, 4 years. And so whenever I watch their video, I don't think about their record. I think about how are we going to block these guys, and if you watch their video, they look like they could be an undefeated team. And so at the end of the day, like we tell our guys all the time, it's not the team that's best on paper, it's the team that plays the best for those 4 quarters on that Saturday. And so for us, we have to definitely be prepared for schematically what they do on offense, defense, and special teams. But really our focus all week has been on improving our execution. I mean, football is a game of execution. It's not a game of plays. It's a game of execution, and the team that executes the best in all 3 phases most consistently is the team that's going to win, and that's really what we've been focused on this week.
And here we are on the road again. This makes, by the time we get the Temple game done, 6 out of 7 games on the road. That's a tough stretch, even if the East Carolina game had gone off in Tampa like it had originally planned. You play them like they're scheduled, can't use it as an excuse, but it bears repeating that this challenging schedule is not just about opponents. There's an awful lot of travel in this part of the season.
Yeah, it's definitely it's been a challenging year, right, for a lot of different reasons, and I think a lot of things can kind of compound on top of each other. I think really for me and what my message has been to our guys is the things that have happened in the past through this season, we may not like them, but there's absolutely nothing we can do to change those results, right? And we can look at the injuries, right, and we've got a ton of injuries, and we can look at kind of maybe some unfortunate situations with our travel and all those things, and if you're not careful, then you as a coach or player would look at those and make those as excuses, and looking around and having excuses are not going to help you win, right? And what I told our players is, our first 7 games, those are part of our story for this season, but it doesn't have to be the story for this season, right? It's going to be how we finish in these 5 games that's ultimately going to dictate how we feel about this season. And so, yes, absolutely, a lot of difficult things have happened, but there's nothing we can do about that, and we need to put all of our focus in what we do control, and that's to prepare to go play our very best game these 4 quarters against Houston on Saturday.
What you said was interesting, because it seems like as long as I remember watching college football, you see teams get off to a great start in September. You get past Halloween in November, it's a different team, and maybe a team you forgot about in September is hot in November. So you're right, it is how you finish. So how do you sell that to these guys to, again, not act like the first 7 didn't exist, but you can turn a page and finish hot and change the trajectory of what people think about your team?
Yeah, I think that's that's the challenge, right? Whenever you're, and honestly, you have the same. It's a more enjoyable challenge, but it's also a challenge whenever you're winning, right? And I've been a part of that too, where the first half of your season, I can remember one year early there at Clemson, we started off 8-0, and then we lost 5 of the last games, right? And nobody remembered that 8-0 start. They remembered how you finish, right? And it's been said before, people remember November, right? Just like you talked about, and I know we're still here in October for this one, but that's they remember how you finish, right? And so that's really the message to our guys is, yes, it's disappointing, and the beginning hasn't gone the way that we want it to, but man, there's opportunity out there for us, and if we make sure we don't allow the negativity or the disappointment from the first 7 games, we got to make sure we don't allow that to carry over. If we can really just kind of, and I think that's another good thing about the open week, right? It's kind of giving us some time to have a little bit of perspective and really kind of get locked in and understand that, hey, we've got 32 days is all we have guaranteed left in this season, right? And we don't need to count the days. We need to make the days count, right? And in order to have the finish we want to have, we've got to literally be intentional each and every day in practice and meetings to win that day. And if we'll do that over time, I believe we're going to see success this Saturday and the rest of the season.
Switching gears a little bit, we're not very far away from a signing day. And obviously you can't go into specific detail on recruits, but give us the overall picture of the message you're putting out there and how things are going.
Yeah, I think, number one, I've been really pleased with how our recruiting's going right now. We've got a number of commitments right now, and I feel like we're really close to several more young men deciding to commit and join the South Florida Bulls. But anytime that you're building a program, anytime that maybe you're going through a transition season where maybe you're not having the success, one of the things that you do have to sell is opportunity, right? And really for us to really kind of take that next step, it's going to be about improving our overall roster, improving our depth at each position, and I think guys, when they come watch us play, and maybe it's been magnified a little bit more because of the injuries and such, but there is a lot of opportunity, and these guys now, they want to come in and they want a chance to play. I think the only way that you truly develop is, yes, you can develop in practice, but there's kind of a lid on that. At some point, you got to get out there and play, and I'm a big believer in playing as many young guys as you can because I think they learn quickly, and then they become really good players for you. So I think the combination of our new indoor facility that hopefully we'll be moving into here in the next week or so, for them to be able to see that, the plans that are moving forward with the stadium, and then also just kind of the overall vibe among our locker room and among our team. Our guys really enjoy being here, and even though again we haven't had the success on the field yet, there is an optimism within our building, within our football program that these recruits really feel and they relate to, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to have a strong signing class of both high school and then potentially some key transfers whenever that time gets here in December.
One of the things I find interesting is some of the messages that you put out. You hear them come out of the mouths of your players sometimes, and just the other day at the press conference, Jason Vaughn was saying, hey, we had a tough season so far. We keep working, or the other option is to quit, and we're not quitting. And that's one thing you notice about your team is even in tough times, they're working hard, they're showing up every day. I know this is something you stress on a daily basis, but what about just their ability to persevere and be resilient, this crew, with all they've been through so far?
Yeah, that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of with this team right now is I think in 2022 in college athletics, it's never been easier or more accepted to quit. I mean, there is a door around every corner that you literally can just wave the white flag and nobody will think anything wrong with it, and you can go leave and just quit in the middle of the year, right? And unfortunately, that's the case. And but our guys, I would say this: I'm very pleased that they haven't, but I'm not surprised either because of just what I've seen of the work that they put in the off season and really how close they've come together. And I mean, our guys still believe in what we're doing. They believe in what they can accomplish. They believe in what they can accomplish the rest of the year. And what I've told them, many times. Obviously, we've talked plenty about adversity, and I think our guys are getting a PhD in how to overcome adversity and resilience and grit and all those things. But I think as a person, and even starting at a young age in high school and in college, as a person, you have to make a decision. You have to make a personal decision that when things get hard, right, there's only two options. One option is I quit. The other option is I keep moving forward. I learn, I grow, and I keep striving to get better. And eventually I'm going to overcome it. Well, as soon as you can make as an individual, and hopefully it happens early in your life, as soon as you can make that decision, that I'm never going to go in that first door to quit, and you just put an X there, then there's really only one choice. And no matter what happens, you continue to move forward. And I think that's kind of where this team is. And, I mean, you think about some of these seniors, you look at their 5 years, and they've been through it. You know, it's been a lot of challenges and a lot of things. And to see that group out here leading here the second half of the season really encourages me for the ending of the season that I believe that we can have with this team, and then also what I believe is going to come from that in the future. And there's no individual, there's no team, no organization that has done anything great without going through some times of adversity. And it's not fun while you're going through it. It's not fun for anybody, but it's part of the process. It's part of what builds and molds and allows you to grow into what you become to get to that other side.
Coach, thanks. We'll see you in Houston.
Great. Thank you. Go Bulls.
Head coach Jeff Scott, stay with us. Wide receiver coach Bobby Bentley coming up later in the hour. Jimmy Horn as well. We're back after this on the USF Football Radio Network. Welcome back. The USF Football Radio Show. Bulls heading west to Houston to play the Cougars. Early start. Don't miss this one. It'll be a 12 noon kickoff in Tampa, 11 a.m. local time for the Bulls and the Cougars. We're going to talk a little bit about the USF passing game, which has really taken some strides forward this year. Coach Bobby Bentley joins us. Wide receivers coach, runs the passing game as well. Coach, you got some healthy weapons now. Horn is back and Weaver is back, and that makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's always the faster the horse, the faster the race. So it's been good to get those guys back healthy. And, you know, right there we had that Louisville game. We had our top 6 wideouts out, and I've never been in a situation where you have that happen, and it's just been kind of one of those hurdles that we've had to overcome as we continue to build the program. But guys have stepped up, and you know, I can definitely see progress, especially the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Bobby, what's it like now with you have Gary Bohannon, who's unfortunately out for the season with an injury. You turn to Travis Marsh as your quarterback. New quarterback, what does that change in the passing game with the different skill set coming in behind center?
Well, you know, I have to be honest, it really hurts seeing what happened with Gary, because, you know, the receivers were starting to click with him. You could see the development. You know, obviously you guys see that with the statistical upgrade that was happening the last 3 weeks with Gary in the passing game, but you could feel it from just you know, an emotional standpoint too, and an attachment between the wideouts and Gary. So he was getting better too, man, and I hate that for him, and I really hate it because he spent so much work into it, and just to see that injury happen, you know, we're going to miss him. You know, we can't sit here and say, you know, sometimes it just gets cliche to say, oh, you know, next man, but you just missed that human element, obviously, and he's such a good leader. But you know, Trey is a strong arm quarterback. He probably has a stronger arm than Gary, to be honest. But you know, it's a different skill set too. So you kind of use the things that are maybe an advantage for Trey to do for him in the passing game that maybe is a little bit different than Gary.
And we should remind fans as well, when we talk about Travis Marsh, he hasn't played in a lot of games, but he's been here literally for years. I mean, this isn't a guy just walking into this offense. He knows it backwards and forwards.
Yes, he had success in high school, and, you know, he is very talented. I mean, he has the arm talent. Probably as good an arm as anybody on the team, you know, any of our quarterbacks, if not the strongest arm. And you just got to, you know, guide him the right way and put those guys in the right spots for him, and help him with his reads and help him, you know, have success early. I think that's a big thing for him.
Bobby, we're talking to Jimmy Horn as part of this show, and obviously in the 2 years that we've been around him, you see these flashes of brilliance, just the potential just through the roof, and I know you see that on a daily basis. Could you speak to, from when you got Jimmy to where he is now, how he has developed? And I know he's put a lot of work in off the field to be a better player as well.
He has. You cannot ask Jimmy Horn to do more. You know, he's altered his body in the weight room with A.J. Artis and our strength staff, so that's the first thing that you can see. The second thing, he understands the concepts that defenses are trying to do to him to stop him. You know, used to, or any time I've had a speed guy in the arsenal, those guys just like to run by everybody. That's what a speed guy wants to do. He just thinks he can just outrun everybody. But, in college, there's some fast guys out there. So you have to do more than just run. And Jimmy's worked on his route running. So we still got some ways to go with it, but he has worked on his route running and has really done a good job this year of improving his skill set and being more consistent with his ball skills as well. And, you can't really be you can really be happy with where he is, but not be satisfied because he is such a hard worker. He's hard on himself and kind of strives for perfection, and he's such a fine young man to have in your room.
You've done so much in your career. You've been a head coach, you've been an athletic director, an administrator, you've been a position coach. Now you've got almost all of your family following you into the coaching world across the country. You must love the coaching life.
Well, I think the boys have seen that in me. I love coaching. I really do. I enjoy what young people bring to the table. And I hear, older guys or guys my age say, kids are different nowadays. They're not different. Adults are different. These kids are the same, if not better. They're smarter. They're smarter than they were. They're not any different. Just we as adults try to alter our things that we expect of them. They're no different. And I'm glad my boys have gone into coaching. Chase at Rutgers, he's doing well and loves what he's doing and moving up the ladder in the strength training world. And, Schuler at Coastal Carolina, is just, really doing well with that offense down there. He and Willie Korn. And, you got to think about Willie being a factor in my family, too, being a former quarterback that I've coached. So the boys see that, and they want to replicate it. They want to emulate it. And, Jake down at FAU doing well as well. And then I think Brooks is going to get into coaching. I'm not sure about Emily. I don't know. She may run away from coaching. She may want her husband at home. I don't know what that'll be. But definitely Brooks is going to get into it as well. But, I'm proud of them. They all love it. And, at whatever level they want to do it at, whether it be high school or college or even middle school. So it's just great to be around young people, and they see how happy their father is and the job that he does.
Because of your experience, how many places you've been in all levels, I know you've seen every kind of player and probably every kind of season. You've seen seasons where you run the table, seasons where it's every expectation's met, and seasons where it's been disappointment. So the ebbs and flows of a season, and you're 7 games in, you've got 5 to go, and I know Coach Scott talks a lot about let's make these last 5 how this team will be remembered, and we see it all the time, teams that finish fast. So what are your feelings on that and where this team is and what you guys have in front of you for these last 5 games, what you can accomplish and how this team can be remembered? That's
a great question. I was talking to my good friend back home about that. Because he watches all of our games on TV, and he's a big fan, and he's on my chain crew back in high school back at home, and just a great friend, and loves the game. Not so much the ins and outs of all the details, but he just loves what the game brings to all of us as fans. I told him we're not as far off as some people think. When you look at our record and you think, oh man, they're struggling down there at USF. Well, you need to look a little deeper. We don't have a lot of guys. We don't have a lot of issues. We don't have a lot of off the field issues. We just don't have that. Coach Scott's culture, what we're building is special, and we get this thing turned around from a win-loss standpoint. Everybody will see it. Right now, people only on the inside see it. We're just a snap or two away from the Florida win. You're a play or two away from a Cincinnati win. You're couple plays and maybe an injury away from getting Tulane, and you're just right there. And you think about Tulsa last year, we're just right there breaking the cusp. And so to answer your question, I think we can finish out on a good note, win and loss wise, but I think it's a little more than that. I think it's also what's happening in the walls of our building, in our locker room, and it's happening, and we just got to continue to turn the corner and build this thing and do it the right way.
Coach, thanks for taking time for us. Have a great day in Houston on Saturday.
Thank you.
Wide receivers coach Bobby Bentley. Stay with us. More to come on the USF Football Radio Network. Welcome back. Bulls on the road this week. They're heading to Houston, and we've got 2 road games coming up, Temple and Philadelphia. After that, then the Bulls return home in a couple of weeks at Raymond James Stadium. Jimmy Horn is with us, Bulls wide receiver, kickoff return man as well. Numbers are going up for you. You feeling good? You're healthy? Things are kind of coming together for you, it seems.
Yes, sir. Things starting to come together for me.
Tell us a little bit about this offense now and the changes, if any, that you expect with Katravis taking over at quarterback.
I mean, with Gary going down, you know, he was a big impact onto the offense because he's a starting QB, but it's always been like that next man mentality. So I expect Trey to have the same standard as Gary. But I got faith in Trey, and I feel he going to do good this game and for the rest of the season.
Jimmy, you've spoken about this in the past, about last year. You know, your physical talent was there. This year, a big difference in your study habits, your film watching. You've taken a next step as a player. Just what made you decide to kind of commit to that, and what difference has it made in what we see on the field, just the amount of work you put in off the field?
I mean, it took a lot to, like, because, like, if you want to be great, you got to, like, do that extra stuff. You can't do, like, just, like, the regular stuff. Like, coaches would be like, you got to watch film more than one time, you know what I'm saying? So, like, last year I probably watched film when we get here, and then that's probably the only time I watch it. But since I started watching, like, on my own, just, like, studying defenses, learning, like what defense they go run, getting familiar with, like, looks and stuff like that, just helped me better my game so I could have a better route plan lining up against somebody.
Your main contribution is catching passes, but you had a pretty great moment returning kicks earlier this year. Take us through that play. What does that feel like when you break into the open and you know nobody's going to get you from behind?
I mean, it's a good feeling because, like, once you, like, see, like, everything that's going on, you be like, okay, yo, I'm gone. You see the crowd, everybody yelling. So, like, it's a good feeling.
Do you think, because of your speed, obviously you're a deep threat, but do you see guys playing off you more, respecting that speed when you line up? Are they conscious that, you know, if they make a wrong move that you can get by them? Do you see defenses playing you that way?
I seen a couple defense play like that. Cincinnati, they pressed a lot. That's the only team that pressed up a lot against me right now. We expect Houston to do a little bit of it, but I'm not sure how they gonna come out because, like, with the injuries and stuff. So I'm not sure how they gonna do it right now. But if they play up close, you know how that be. I got good speed, so you gotta respect it.
Well, when you and Weaver are both healthy, and especially when you line up kind of side by side, that's a lot to handle for an opposing secondary. How does he impact your game, having him out there with you?
Weaver, he takes a lot off me too. So, like, and I know I take a lot off him too. So, like, defense gotta, like, be able to prep for both of us. Because you can't stop both of us at the same time. Like, either way, man, Weaver gonna make something shake. So, yeah.
So early in the season, you had an injury, I think a nagging injury that just wouldn't go away. And in the Florida game, you played a little bit, but didn't touch the ball. And I know you missed some time. How frustrating was it to have that happen? And are you feeling good now? Are you completely healthy now at this point?
Yeah, I'm completely healthy. I'm about 95%. It still ache a little bit here and there, but I'm basically all the way there, so I'm good.
You're a state of Florida guy. Tell us a little bit about the recruiting process, how you landed at South Florida.
Okay, so, like, my recruiting process didn't kick in until my senior year to, like, playoff. Like, I ain't had no offers. My first offer was from Mississippi State Valley. And then after that, I had got Central Arkansas. And then I was about to get ready and commit to Central Arkansas, but my head coach, Coach Lodge, had told me, like, wait a little bit more. And then I was, like, kind of getting impatient because I'm like, ain't no offers going to come in this year. So really I was like, okay, I'm going to just wait it out. So I just played, balled out that my senior season, and then offers went to rolling in and stuff. And then I had got an offer from USF, Georgia, all the other schools and stuff like that. And then, you know, I was here with Timmy and stuff. So that's how I got here.
What is it like, Jimmy, go from a fabulously successful high school program, won a state title, and you come to the college level, and it's different. It's harder. Competition's harder. What was it like transitioning? And, you know, you used to being the man in high school, and now you have to kind of learn how to play college football. What was that like to kind of, you know, take a few steps back and learn how to get better at this level?
The one thing I could say, like, when I came to college, I was kind of like, okay, I'm about to be playing against people that's way bigger. Because I know when I was younger, my pa used to tell me, like, as you get older, the game get older, people gonna get bigger, faster, and stronger. And, like, high school, man, I came out of high school at, like, 150 something. You know, it was hard for me gaining weight. So, like, I'm like, dang, I'm thinking college finna be, like, hard. Like, I ain't gonna be able to, I'm thinking everybody gonna end up being faster than me or something like that. But I know, like, with my speed play a part of my game a lot, too. But it's helped me with college. And, like, my freshman year to my sophomore year, it's like I learned the game better and just, yeah.
When you don't have the one lost record that you would prefer, a lot of times people will look at a team and they'll look for people not playing hard anymore or not caring anymore, not doing the right things anymore. You can't find that on this team. You know, you continue to work hard, not just you personally, but collectively on this team. Why is that? Why has the effort and the attitude been so good as this team continues to fight?
Everybody got heart. That's really what it is, having heart and not giving up. Because, like, we got 5 more games left. Our goal is to make it to a bowl game. And, like, with everybody believing, we still could get there.
What does it mean to you, Jimmy, when you know, you look at these games and you do appear to be close at times? You could have beaten Cincinnati, you could have beaten Florida, some other games just a play or two away. Do you see it that way? Do you look back at these games and say, you know, if we just clean that up just a little bit, our record could be a lot different?
Yeah, I look at that all the time. I be like, would have beat this team, would have been rolling. Like, with Gary getting injured and stuff, I seen, like, we were about to get rolling too. But then, you know, things happen. And then, like, Cincinnati game, we was close to beating them. Like, we could have beat a lot of teams on our schedule, for real, if we just came out strong and finished strong. Some games we would come out strong and not finish strong. Some games we would come out not strong and finish strong. You know what I'm saying? But if we put it all together, we would have won most of our games.
You've made so many strides in your game this year. What's the next step for you? What do you seek to improve in your game to get up to an even higher level?
I got to stay consistent with all my catches, like dropping like little stuff. I ain't trying to drop no more passes. Upgrade my route plan running, like my route plans and stuff like that.
Where does your speed come from, Jimmy? I know you were a track and field guy. You won some medals at the state meet. Were you one of these kids that was always like the fastest guy in your neighborhood and nobody could catch you?
I was just always fast.
Where's it come from? You born that way?
Yeah, born that way.
Yeah.
I was always fast.
Got a road trip to Houston coming up, and the Cougars were preseason top 25. As you study tape, what do they look like defensively?
Compared to all the other defenses that we played, I can say, like, they got some weak spots, and, like, we could beat them. That's how I feel personally.
What would it mean, Jimmy, if you're successful in this game and can put some wins together? I mean, as Coach was saying, you've got 5 more games. This will define how people remember this team. If you guys can get hot,
we could finish off strong, get to that bowl game.
What would it mean? I mean, you guys capable of doing this to turn this season around?
Sure. We is. Like, if we complete that goal, it'll mean a lot to the program. Like, it'll get the program rolling from now on.
That's what we're looking for. Jimmy, congratulations on a great season so far. Good luck in Houston this week. Thanks for taking time for us today.
Sure.
Bulls wide receiver Jimmy Horn. Stay with us. More to come on the USF Football Radio Show. Welcome back to USF Football Radio Show. We're getting set to travel to Houston to play the Cougars. A little bit of a hard team to figure out, Joey. Preseason top 25. They played a whole bunch of overtime games in a row. They're 4-3, probably not where they expected to be at this part of the season, but especially offensively, they've got a lot of weapons.
Yeah, they're really hard to figure out, and I think their record is very deceptive. They're very talented. They've lost some heartbreakers. They ran into a Kansas team when Kansas was very hot, so they sit at 4-3. But certainly they're a team that is capable of winning a conference or contending for a conference. They have that look about them, so they certainly cannot be taken lightly. Tons of talent, tons of dangerous players that can go the distance. So the Bulls defense once again will be very much tested in this game.
The South Florida team coming off the open week, probably good news for them, well-timed. They got some guys healthy again. Big change at the quarterback position, but still a lot to play for.
A lot to play for. I think it's really important how they come out, how they approach this game. It's almost like you don't want to call it a new season or a second season, but it kind of is. It's kind of split down the middle with the open date. And if USF can come out and take command in these last 5 weeks, they can really change the trajectory of this season, but it begins with a good performance at Houston.
All right, on to the Cougars. We will be with you Saturday bright and early, 10 a.m. pregame show, 12 noon kick, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week right here on the USF Football Radio Show.